Good
Hey,
evening, everyone. Hi, Brett.
how are you?
Hold on. Are you able to hear me?
We can hear you, but we can't see you. Benny, you still there? Hey, Brad. Thanks for
How's it
coming
going?
on.
Of course. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, good.
Whereabouts are you?
Guys.
Are you based in Malaysia or elsewhere?
Yeah. We're based in Malaysia. So it's about 1 p.m. over here, lunchtime.
Nice.
So we might get some guys tuning in during lunch.
When do you all normally do it?
We usually do it 8 p.m. That'll be maybe 5 a.m. your time.
Mm. Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah. Yeah, no. So this one's a bit of a change, but it's good because it's recorded, and then the viewers can view it.
Nice.
All right. Welcome back, Benny.
Looks like he's pressing buttons.
Yeah, it's frozen again, maybe. No.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. Yeah. Hi. Sorry, Bradley. Welcome to the show.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Well, it's what time is it now in San Fran?
It's 10 o'clock.
All right. Okay. I was
Yeah.
just our lunchtime right now.
Yeah. Hoping people will take a break.
All right, so guys, welcome to Investors Coffee Time at not 8 p.m. It's now 1 p.m. Brad, normally we have this at 8 p.m. So right now we are having at 1 p.m. Of course, the viewers will be able to view the recording later. All right, and well, I'm glad you guys are able to join us, although it's lunchtime. How many of you are actually having lunch right now and looking at this session live? Can you just say hi?
Right. So we've got we're actually streaming to Facebook and YouTube at the same time. So we've got multiple stream sources.
Oh, very cool.
Okay, so what I'm going to do now is basically to share with you the updates on, the crypto prices, right? I think we did an update last week, and it looks like the market is not moving anywhere at the moment. So I'll just share with you. But before that, whatever that is being discussed here today is basically for informational and also educational purposes. It's not intended as an investment advice. All right, so if you're going to seek for a professional advice, then please do look for a licensed investment advisor. All right. So I hope that today's session will be able to help you on understanding basically number one, what does unstoppable domains do, and what is Web 3.0. All right. So before we start, so I'm going to just take a look at the prices for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and also Litecoin. So, if you look at our previous session, we were expecting the price to actually move sideways in that trading range, the box that we draw, right? And that's between $8,500 and $10,000. And, it's in a correction of an uptrend. So we're going to expect the price to continue its uptrend if it can break above $10,000. So far, it's still being traded in this range. Right, so we are not going to expect the price to move anywhere if it stays within this range. So the support level is 8,005. Okay, if it can stay above this level, that means there is still a chance for the price to continue its bullish trend. And if you notice, the price is also still above the uptrend line, the green line that you see over here. Okay, so again, if it's able to break above $10,000, that's the main resistance. Then we should see price moving to the next level, and we are looking at a projection of about 12,000 US dollars if it's able to break above 10. Right now, for Ethereum, it's also the same. It's also been trading sideways. So most of the cryptocurrencies are moving sideways. They move together with Bitcoin, of course. Resistance level for Ethereum is at $220. Right, and the support is down here at 177. So same thing, if it stays within this range, the market is still in a correction. But if it breaks above 220, then we may see it moving to about 160, which is the the downtrend resistance line that we plotted over the midterm, right? So that's Ethereum. Litecoin is the same thing, also moving sideways like this. Okay, so that's the support level is at 39.50, right? And the resistance is at 50. So if we can break above 50, that means we're going to expect a continuation of an uptrend. Right? But unlike Bitcoin and Ethereum, Litecoin does not move as much as Ethereum or Bitcoin. So we're going to expect, if let's say even the price breaks above that $50, we're going to expect to test the resistance at around 55, $54 to $55. Right, so as long as it stays inside this range, and you can also draw these lines on investing.com or any other charting platform that you have. Right, so as long as it stays within this range, the market is still correcting. So we want to wait for a breakout to see whether the market is able to continue its uptrend or not. All right, so that's basically the update from me. I'm gonna pass this to Andrew to start the conversation with Brad. All right, so over to you, Andrew.
Okay, thanks for the update, Benny. Okay, today we have a very special guest all the way from San Francisco. His name is Bradley Kem. Bradley is the co-founder of Unstoppable Domains. So if you go to unstoppabledomains.com, you'll see the website. Brad is here to talk about what Unstoppable Domains is, what they do, and also really what I see it as is it is the next generation of the web, right? It is Web 3.0. I see it as a fundamental change in the architecture of how the web should work and will work as we continue to evolve. All right, so for those who have tuned in, thanks very much for coming out during lunch and tuning in, and for our international audience, welcome. Brad, over to you.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Excited to share with everybody today. And I don't know how much you know about this subject, but I'm as I said, I'm Brad, co-founder of Unstoppable Domains. We build domains on blockchains, and I'm actually supposed to just share a presentation, right? That's the simplest way?
Yeah, and yeah, presentation, or you could show it live if you want.
So the big idea here is that the current web has all kinds of issues with people who control various parts of it. And if you have a decentralized web, one where the users control their own data, control their own assets, you change that. So it's basically like doing what cryptocurrency did for finance and banking, doing the same thing from traditional web to the decentralized web. So our company, Unstoppable Domains, we launched in March of 2019. We've had 220,000 domains registered, 8,000 decentralized websites launched, 20 cryptocurrency wallets integrated, and I'll show you how that works in a minute, and a browser, Opera browser, working right now for .crypto websites. And the reason why all of this has been possible is that people are motivated to fix this problem. And the problem that we're solving is censorship on the internet. And the way that censorship on the internet actually works is traditional DNS.com domains are stored by the companies that you register them from. So for example, if you use GoDaddy, if you use domain.com, whatever you use, that company stores the domain for you. You don't store your own domain. Registries, the company that actually owns this whole system, can take your domain away from you. Hosting services can take your website offline, not just off their platform. You can disappear from the internet entirely if you do something or say something that others don't like.
Brad, sorry, if I can sort of maybe stop you there. And so what, do you have any examples of when, such things have actually happened, where, you disappear from the internet?
The number of times that this has happened are, too many to count. But one that happened relatively recently that was a pretty big deal was in Spain, there was a registry called .cat that was being used by the independence movement there to try to push for Catalonia to become its own country. And the Spanish government went and raided the registry and took it down. So every single website on that system was taken down.
Wow. So literally, like that, you're just off the internet.
They arrested them.
Oh wow. Cool. Sorry to interrupt you. Yeah, but yeah, that was it was just for the viewers to know, like that's actually possible, because many don't know that's possible.
And the part that's the weirdest about it is that it can happen in a lot of different directions. So let's say, take your website, for example, or let's say we'll take StreamYard, which we're using right now, for example, which is a .com. So the owner, VeriSign, could take this website down. The company that stores the domain name could take the website down, or Amazon or whatever web hosting system that they're using to store their website could also take them down. There's a whole bunch of other people that could take them down in the process as well. But those three things are something that every single website on the internet has. And it happens all the time. And it happens for all kinds of reasons. It happens for copyright reasons. It happens for court orders. It happens because certain registries have made certain deals with movie companies to say, all I need to do is send you a letter saying, I think that this is violating me, and without a court order that it can go down. So there's all kinds of issues with the way that the current system works. And the system was built in the early 90s, and it's kind of what launched the consumer web. And it was amazing, and it was an amazing innovation, but it hasn't really continued to move forward. And the biggest problem is domains are digital assets, but they are not self-custody. They require a custodian. And once you have a blockchain, you could do the exact same thing. You could put a registry on a blockchain, and now when I want to go and look up a domain and find a website, I can just go hit up Ethereum. So anybody in the world can go and look up a website, from the command line or whatever else. It creates an entirely new base layer that this works from that's permissionless. Anybody can go and look up a website, and it's free. Nobody can take down the website other than the person who put it up. So completely new fundamental way that it works.
Yeah, that's amazing, and I think a lot of businesses out there where they've actually registered their domain names, right, .com, or .net or whatever. They don't realize that that's that risk is actually there. I guess they don't know that that as you mentioned, that the three parties in that chain, they actually have the ability to take you offline if they needed to.
And it all depends on where you are and what's happening, so there are a lot of, regional IPs that are considered to be, risky, a lot of places in Eastern Europe. So there's plenty of people who've tried to launch, various types of websites in Eastern Europe who are aware of, getting their websites taken down, just out of, sort of automated flagging systems and things like that. And then there's, people in Turkey that know that there's 150 words that you're not allowed to put up on any hosting service. Otherwise, that gets taken down immediately. There's a lot of people that actually, are aware. It just all really depends on what your specific circumstances are. And, do you happen to have sexually explicit content in a place that doesn't like it? You're going to be aware of these rules.
Yeah,
things like that.
Yeah. And I guess as you mentioned, when in the early 90s, when the internet was somewhat, or the consumer internet was introduced to the world, it was a very different place back then, right? I mean, it was about the freedom of publishing your content, the freedom of sharing that information. Eventually, the smarter guys managed to accumulate a lot of information, right? And they became monoliths, right? They became giants of the internet. For example, the three web cloud providers. Well, if you throw Alibaba in there, four cloud providers, right? The four main ones. But with the introduction of unstoppable domains, or at least having a domain name on the Ethereum network and on a blockchain, do you see this fundamentally changing the space of or changing the architecture of what the web looks like?
Absolutely. So you take away DNS and you replace it with blockchain domains. And previously, the DNS servers are controlled by a specific company, specific group of people, and they have the ability to impact the way that the system works. You move it to a blockchain, now all of a sudden the user controls it. Nobody can stop a website other than the user. Nobody can take the domain away. And the web hosting moves to decentralized storage networks like IPFS. And so I mentioned the 8,000 websites. Those are all on IPFS. IPFS is the decentralized storage network. It works similar to like a BitTorrent or something like that. You're sharing your content with nodes, with people on the network. You basically have dozens or hundreds or thousands of copies of your website on different people's computers. And because you have that, it's really hard to take you down, because you would need to coordinate with all those people and convince them to take you down. And so the idea is, even if one person takes you down, or two or three or whatever, it doesn't matter. So long as something is popular, it's going to continue to be up there on the web. And so large providers of storage can participate in that system, because that's just a marketplace. It's just all it's really doing is it's doing what Uber did for picking me up in my car, and just saying anybody with storage space can sell it on the marketplace, and anybody can buy. And so it's just the people who are best at providing that service will do that, but the underlying way the system works is different, because the power goes to the user rather than to the company. And that's really what this is all about. Like, Unstoppable Domains doesn't have the ability to impact your behavior after we have sold you a domain. Once we've sold you a domain, it's yours. It's an ERC-721 token. It's in your wallet. No one, you're relying on the Ethereum blockchain security, and at that point, no one can take it away from you unless they get your private key.
Yeah, that's so just for the benefit of some of our viewers. So for example, if you had shares in Amazon and you had shares in Google, Alibaba, so these are obviously with Microsoft Azure as well. So these are all the existing cloud providers out there, right? They are the largest of the cloud providers out there, and if you are thinking of even getting into that space to be a cloud, to be a cloud provider, you would need a lot of capital. But then with this new infrastructure that I see evolving, right, which I'm actually quite excited about, is with IPFS. And for the viewers, IPFS stands for the Interplanetary File System. It's a way of storing your files on the internet, but in a decentralized format, right? So so you can't just shut it. You can't shut one down. You'll have to shut them all down, and that makes it quite difficult. So this introduces a new or new players into this space of cloud storage, right? Then anyone with some spare space on their desktop or on their laptop can offer that out and actually get paid in crypto, right? And that can all be automated in future. So yeah, so that's really quite a disruptor, right? I mean, when you say that where it's going to go, it's going to be quite a disruption for the internet as we know it today.
And I think this is a lot closer to the internet that I think a lot of the people that were building in the 90s thought they were building. I think this was actually the point. And it was just that a lot of the stuff just wasn't quite there yet. We didn't have internet money, even though they tried to build payments into early internet protocols. We didn't have this public, we didn't have this concept of, public private key cryptography that was easy to access. Like that's what enables all this stuff, is you can, sign a message with your private key and you can do stuff. And that's the reason why this whole decentralized web concept even works. And none of this, I would say, was really, feasible from the perspective of I could launch a business to do this until 2017. I would say is probably the earliest point where that would have been true. So this is a very recent development where the tech is now there, to where we can actually go back and we can change the base layer and get the incentives right this time, which is that you can't have all of these companies that are able to act as gatekeepers and prevent people from even coming on board. And that's exactly what we saw in the financial system, where banks were gatekeepers and the vast majority of people were not onboarded. And when you look at crypto, then all those people can come on board just because my friend told me about it. That's all it takes. And you can get to the same level with all of the internet stuff too. And it doesn't work like that right now. There's actually a lot of steps, especially to launch a website, because a lot of people around the world, a lot of powerful people around the world take an interest in that. What you're saying online, I mean. And that's the reason why the rules, I think, have evolved in the way that they have. I don't think this was the intention. It's just that there's just not that many people that wound up in charge of these specific points. .com is basically it's the registry that almost everyone in the world uses, which means that they have a role to play in what anybody can do around the world with a .com because of that, which is a weird thing for some random US company to have, a weird role for them to have. And it's unnecessary. And the reason I know it's unnecessary is because it doesn't work like that for .cryptos. So it's just now we have this new tech, and so now we can change the way that the incentive works, and I think that's going to lead to to a better result, and it'll just allow people to try more stuff. And you can always filter stuff out you don't like. So a lot of people, I think, are very afraid of an open internet, and a lot of people they talk about all the really bad stuff that happens all over the place, and bad stuff has and always will happen. But I think that the thing that's really, first of all, you don't want to suppress the things that should definitely be heard, and that can be really bad for progress. But second of all, you can filter out stuff. Like apps can still say, like YouTube, people get really upset with YouTube for censoring crypto videos. It's actually really bad, but it's because YouTube stores those videos. So the problem with the system is not YouTube said, I object to this, I don't want to show it. That's their right. You can have some other YouTube say something different. The problem is YouTube stores your video. So when YouTube shuts you off, you're off. Those videos are nowhere. That's the problem. The system doesn't work correctly. If YouTube blocked you, but there was another 40 YouTubes you could take the same thing to because you stored your own video, fine.
Yeah. Because right now there's only that one YouTube, right? And so if they shut you down, you're out. You're all your hard work and all your content, it's gone.
And it's because they control your data instead of you control your data. If you control your data and it's stored on a decentralized peer-to-peer network, it's fine. They can block you off of YouTube, but they can't block you off the internet. That's the difference. Yeah.
Now on that note, Brad, can you talk a little bit about how I mean, because I remember hopping onto the internet in 1994 or 1995, right? And back then it was still the 9.6, right? kbps, and you had to dial in and via the copper lines and stuff. And back then, it was the internet was a pretty difficult place to navigate, right? It was, I still remember stuff like Gopher, and my first web browser was the Mosaic web browser and stuff. And I remember a lot of stuff was done on the command line. But obviously the internet has evolved. It is a lot more user-friendly today. You literally have the internet in your pocket, and it's just a swipe away. Today, crypto feels like it's back in the 90s, what the internet was, and I see this space growing. Or I see the user experience of being on blockchains evolving, right, to become more user-friendly and more user-accessible, so that mom and pop on the street can just run with it and just use it. And so maybe you can tell us a little bit about unstoppable domains and how, for example, how you're making that easier, for example, with the wallet addresses and all that.
Yeah, the way that it works is, so I've got brad.crypto. I can attach my crypto addresses. I can attach my Bitcoin address, my Ethereum address, all my addresses to this one domain. And I can just tell you Brad.crypto, and you can type that into a wallet and pay me. You don't need to know my addresses. You don't even need to, you and I don't even need to speak about which currency we want to pay in. You can just, I just have my domain pre-configured and you can just send to me. And so that's much closer to like Venmo or something like that in the US. And there's plenty of other, username-based payment systems around the world. And that's what users would expect. So that's the whole idea behind, human readable names for crypto payments, is that you just hide the addresses and people just won't need to see or think about the addresses anymore in the future. That's one aspect of improving crypto user experience. I think another is being crypto agnostic. Like, I don't think that this idea that you have to think about which currency somebody wants to use in every situation, like you can handle a lot of that stuff on the back end too. Like, I can just have a drop down and I can pick which one I want to send you based on, one of 10 that you receive. And if you want to actually in the end receive everything in Bitcoin, then you can have an automated tool that will, convert it to whatever currency you want, or USD or whatever, stablecoin, whatever. Like all the stuff can be, all these things that are awkward now can be fixed. And that's kind of why we exist. We're trying to make that stuff as easy as possible. And, DWeb is about payments. It's about your website content. And, it's about communicating, and it's all to the same thing. So Brad.crypto is my website. Brad.crypto is also how you pay me. And right now I have a website up right now at Brad.crypto. You can check it out.
Awesome. Now, just for the viewers, do you need any special browser to view Brad.crypto, or can any browser, like with any browser, just can you just type in Brad.crypto and it'll go to a website?
Browsers need to decide to support the decentralized web. So they're actually reading the Ethereum blockchain, and then they're finding the IPFS hash associated with the domain name. And so Opera browser, it works natively inside of Android, and hopefully more soon. So if you have Opera browser on your phone, you can type it in right now and check it out. Hopefully more browsers soon. The thing I would say here is that it's going to be a process to get these tools to support this stuff, but in general they are interested and so far seemingly open to it. And then until then, we have extensions and other things. So we have an unstoppable Chrome extension, for example.
Yeah. So this is awesome. I mean, for the viewers out there who are not sure about how this works, it's basically, it's still on the internet, right? And this is what we call, we're working towards Web 3.0, the third generation, the third wave of what the internet is about. And when you so you're essentially accessing a website, right? With where the domain name is on the blockchain, and your website files actually live on multiple servers, right? So therefore, it's not that easy to shut down a server. I mean, even if, let's say, for example, I don't know, you had it on one server and it was a fly-by-night data center, and then they shut down, and if you didn't have a backup of your files, all your data is gone. But then now through IPFS, right, in the interplanetary file system, it's actually on multiple copies, right? So even if one shuts down, you still have your website still up. So that's great for redundancy, right? For those who are technical, I mean, you need redundancy, and you can't get any better redundancy than that many copies on the internet. And I think this also introduces a new paradigm, right? I mean, I'm not sure about what's happening over in San Francisco, but over here in Malaysia, we've been on a lockdown since the 18th of March. So, almost 3 months now, like we've just stayed home. You hear of a lot of businesses like SMEs who are shutting down because they just can't, there's no business, right? They can't do anything. And then there are the ones who are more agile, who are, hopping onto the internet, and then they're trying to digitize their business, right? And they're trying to take it online. And a lot of, for those content creators out there, imagine if you could get paid, I don't know, 2 cents or 5 cents for your content, right? Whether it's a paragraph, an article, or whatever. You could even automate this, right? Like where you have websites that deliver your content, and you charge minuscule amounts of money, but just to keep you going. So the browser that accesses your website can pay you a small amount, like half a cent, right, to read your article, and that can all happen in the background with the blockchain, right?
Yeah, and you don't even need a specific browser necessarily. There's things like MetaMask as a plugin, which can essentially make it so you can do it from any browser. And there's also dApp browsers in most in a lot of different cryptocurrency wallets. There's a lot of tools that already exist that would make it so all of this stuff is possible. The biggest problem in crypto is that it's like you said before, everything works from the command line, and we don't have the user experiences that are going to make it so people far outside will be using this stuff. And I would say we don't even have the tools yet ready for crypto users, because just because you can do something from the command line and just because you're a developer doesn't mean every single time you do everything, you're going to want to go to the command line and you're going to want to be coding. That's not how our life works today. Like, you don't, every single time you search, if you're a developer, you don't go and write an algorithm first. Like, that's not the goal here. The goal is to make it so the stuff works for everybody without having to code in a specific situation. So that's so the things that we're focused on are, so the kind of user journey is you can go to unstoppabledomains.com. You can check out with a crypto or a credit card. You can, with a couple of clicks, add your crypto addresses. You can go and choose a template from a template store and launch a website on IPFS with a couple of clicks. You do not need to know how to code. You don't even need to know what IPFS is. Maybe we'll change that button to, publish. I don't even know what we'll say yet, but publish. You don't even need, it doesn't even matter. The point is that you're launching a decentralized website. And there's the things that you were talking about where you get paid for your content. Absolutely. You can have a paywall on your blog, where you show the first paragraph, and then if you want to read more, you got to pay, all sorts of things like that. It's all possible right now. It's all actually quite close. 2020 is the first year where this stuff was really starting to be usable, because you've now got enough browser support and enough extensions and tools like that if you want to go to a website, you can. So there's Kyber.crypto, for example. Kyber Network has a website where you can trade ETH and DAI, and it functions. My Ether wallet has myetherwallet.crypto. There's apps now that you can use. So that's the stage that we're at. We're just now seeing the first stuff that actually works, and I think it's less than 6 months old.
Yeah, it's really exciting times, and that's why we're so glad to have you on. Like, it's this is the bleeding edge, and it's so obviously, as you said, like, as a developer, even as a developer and as a technical person, you don't want to, every time you want to do something, you don't want to go and have to write something to do it. You want to do it with a swipe or a tap, or that something that makes it easier and accessible to the general public. And that's why it's so exciting. So walk us through it, Brad. So if I I want to do an Andrew, I've already checked Andrew.crypto is taken, but if I wanted to say Andrew Wong.crypto, right? Walk us through that process, like for someone who who's listening and watching right now, and they were interested to sign up for a .crypto domain. What can they do, and what would they do?
Yeah, so you just go to unstoppabledomains.com. I'm going to it now. And you just search for domains. When you find a domain that you want, you check out. When you check out, you can pay with crypto, you can pay with PayPal, you can pay with credit card. And once you have a domain, it's time to launch a website. So you can add crypto addresses, and adding crypto addresses is just a few clicks and then signing a message with your private key. Most people use MetaMask on their computers, or dApp browser wallets like IMToken, Coinbase Wallet, Trust Wallet, others on their mobile. And I'll show you real quick the website. The way this works is you pick a website template, and you set it up, publish to IPFS, and you're there.
Nice. So that's how easy it is to publish your decentralized webpage.
Yeah, and I'll show you this one real quick. I think this is cool. So you'll see here, this is our extension. So you can read from gateways, which makes it a little faster, but you can also read directly from the IPFS network. And yeah, the stuff works now. And the tools that we've built aren't the only tools that you can use. There are others. But it all works now. It's not a I know it sounded like we were having a philosophical conversation earlier. We weren't having a theoretical conversation. This works.
That is awesome. So it's that simple, guys. Right. So to the viewers out there, if you wanted to dip your toes in it and you wanted to have your sign up for your crypto .crypto or .zil, right? Domain name. .zil is on the Zilliqa blockchain, and .crypto is on the Ethereum blockchain. Just head on to unstoppabledomains.com, and it's that simple. It really is that simple to sign up for your own domain name, as well as even launch. Because Brad just showed us how you can actually launch your web page with templates, right? So yeah, templates on the site. Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Wow. So I understand that there's also a .eth domain name out there. So that I understand that's also on the Ethereum blockchain. So that's is that also considered? Does it do the same thing?
.eth is similar, and in fact, we built a demo version of our product on .eth. They launched in 2017, actually 2018, I believe. They've been pioneers in the space, so they're an amazing team, and we decided to build registries a bit different and also focus on building tools. But we support .eth in our tools, and we encourage everyone to support both.
Cool. So when so I understand, because I've looked, obviously search for a few domain names on Unstoppable Domains. Some of them are protected. So does that mean that they're not available to be purchased at this point, or?
Yeah, so the way that it works in the traditional domain name world is they have what's called sunrise period, which is basically like a period of, they call it right of first refusal for brands. So if you're Google and a new registry launches, they say, hey, Google, you get X amount of time to claim Google before anybody else. And the reason that we do this is because we don't want somebody squatting on your name and pretending to be you, or whatever, doing something like that, which is bad for brands. And so we block the domains, and we're doing the same thing, except for we tried to go one step further, and we're giving the domains away for free to brands, because we want as many traditional companies as possible to have their brands, so when they are ready to transition to the decentralized web, they can. If we opened it up and we didn't do this, then somebody would grab their name, and then they wouldn't be able to participate.
Right. And for the record, I've already registered for equities-tracker.crypto and equities-tracker.zil.
Nice. And we should get some of these videos up there on the decentralized web.
Yeah, we should. As soon as I figure out how to do that. Yeah.
We have some questions from the audience. There are two persons asking the same questions from Lingus, Warren, and Daniel too. It asks about security. Here, Daniel too says that there has been some hacking and breaches. I'm not sure whether it happened, but how does this security issue work here on this platform?
It's identical to so the way that it works is the domain is stored inside of a wallet. So it's the same security you've been using for any self-custody wallet you've been using. So if you use MetaMask or you use IM token or you use Trust Wallet or whatever, Coinomi or whatever self-custody wallet you use where you store your own keys, it's the same. You just store the domain in there. So you're relying on the blockchain in the same way.
Yep. So I'll just elaborate a little bit more for the users. So when Bradley said that it's a self-custody wallet and you keep your own keys, that means you're keeping your own private key, right? So the private key is something that only you will have access to and no one else, and that is how you ensure that's how you ensure security, right? It's a string of characters, and it's unless you share that with someone else, then the security gets breached. But if no one else sees that but yourself, and no one else has access to it, then it's as secure as it is, unless someone steals your phone and you didn't have a passcode on it, then they'll have access to your domain name.
Use PIN codes.
Sorry?
Use PIN codes.
Yeah, use PIN codes. Benny, was there another question? You're on mute, Benny.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. There's a question here that says that this can be big. It's either go main or go dark. What about money? How does the economy works here? Does the conventional way of transferring money still goes on in this?
So I may have missed the last part, but the first part around the economy. So there's an economy that exists currently around domain names, and a lot of that will be recreated here in the decentralized web version. So like, for example, we've got so people buy domains, people sell domains. The place where they're most likely to sell them are on OpenSea. People are acting as development services companies, helping each other, helping others build websites if they want to build and launch a website. There's marketing people trying to figure out how to market decentralized websites. There's the whole ecosystem that you would expect to be built around domain names. There's escrow, but in traditional domains, escrow is like a guy who you trust to go and store the money, and then once the domain is transferred, then it goes an escrow agent is what it's called. Here you would have an escrow contract where you would just do a trustless swap for ETH or another Ethereum asset or something like that. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that needs to get made to make this easy to use. We're just doing the very basic starting point. And one of the big things that we're trying to push this year is third-party developers offering these tools. So there's a huge market right now. So we've had 220,000 domains registered. A lot of these people want to launch websites and they don't have enough tools. So there is a shortage of basic web tools that work, things that would help you automatically connect your WordPress blog to go and put it up on IPFS. People want to connect YouTube because you can use these tools as your content uploading tools, and then also back it up on IPFS, and then you get everything. So that's something that I know there's a big demand for. And then also just, you saw those little templates on our website. That's really basic stuff. Anybody can build something and sell it to our users. So there's a huge amount of economic opportunity right now in helping with decentralized web tools. And it's really, if you've been around for the first version of the web, it's kind of the basic stuff. We're at Yahoo Stores level. We're at we're in the 90s. We're in GeoCities. Sorry, I know I'm kind of old here. I don't know how old your audience is. So anybody who wasn't around in the 90s wouldn't know all those references. But
I remember GeoCities. I remember GeoCities.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, that name, yeah, GeoCities.
Yeah. So that's the, that's kind of where we're at. And so there's a lot of people working on things related to blogs. And all of this stuff can have money involved, meaning that, I can create a, blog and I can sell it. I can create a video and somebody can tip me. I can create a channel and I can take a subscription and I can give you access to the subscription, once you pay, on a monthly basis. So all that stuff can work through through blockchain tools that already exist today. It's just piecing it all together and making it work easily is the hard part. And the nice thing is that, domain names do have a revenue model. And so we've been able to invest in this stuff over the past couple of years. And this is really what we think this is going to take 20 years.
Yeah.
To build it all out and really transition. And people who are not in the crypto world or who are not really close to it for other reasons, they're probably going to wait until the tech, in terms of like migrating their website, they're going to wait until it's cheaper. And it probably will be cheaper because, you can access, storage anywhere in the world than just paying Amazon or Alibaba or whatever. But that's going to take a little while. So it's not as if everyone's going to just stop using the regular internet overnight. It's going to be a transition, but it's starting with, crypto apps and things like that, and they really need it. Like if you're a dApp and you're allowing your users to interact with a smart contract, but somebody can take down your website, then, did it really matter that the smart contract was permissionless? Like you still have this huge problem in your security.
Yeah. Hey, so Brad, now you have .crypto and .zil. Would Unstoppable Domains be looking at other domain names, other top level domain names?
Not anytime soon. There's no immediate plans for any other registries. Got plenty on our plate right now.
I can imagine. But just adding on to what Brad just said, this is an opportunity. This is a huge opportunity in terms of where we are today. I mean, we're like we're back in the 90s, right? We're back in the 90s of when the internet just started, and look at where we are today, right? 25 years later, and it's had that huge growth, different business models, different ways of doing things, and just so many things have come out in the last 20 years, and so many more new things are going to come out in the next 25 years. With the addition of the blockchain, the entire internet's going to be fundamentally, it's going to look so different, right? You look back 25 years from now, you look back and like, oh wow, we used to deal with that, and it's going to be so. To me, it's a very exciting time, and to the viewers who are actually tuning in right now. If you're an IT guy, if you're a developer, you're a tech guy, and you're at the top of your game. And you're wondering, hey, what's happening here? The tools are going to look so different. The way you do things are going to look so different. Best to just roll up your sleeves and dive down that rabbit hole and figure out what this whole blockchain thing is about, and how it's going to actually affect and how it's going to change. Because this is that next web, isn't it? It's the 3.0. It's that next generation of the web. So I'm actually very excited. And you hear on crypto Twitter that a lot of including like Facebook and on YouTube, where a lot of crypto videos were taken down, or censorship was happening. It's going to be interesting to see someone come up with a decentralized YouTube, and someone probably already has, right? I don't know.
It's totally going to happen. And It's all about putting the user in control of the data. It's going to change the whole game.
Yeah. And you hear that data is the new currency. Yeah, obviously, because right now, Facebook has a platform, right? And all the users are providing their data for free. And then, obviously, you're making the shareholders rich. We could purchase stock in Facebook. But, what the paradigm shifts in crypto, where if it's your information and you giving that information, you can actually charge for that data, right? Why shouldn't you get a bit of that of why shouldn't you get paid for your data, right? So you can actually get paid for your data. And for those out there who aren't aware, there's a browser called the Brave browser, using the BAT token, the BAT token, the basic attention token, and that allows advertisers you get paid to share your information. So this is very exciting, and to have the domain name as the first stop like that is obviously, we couldn't. I mean, with the existing domain name system, that's how it works anyway. For the viewers who aren't who don't know, you have a domain name, say equitiestracker.com, right? And that will take you to where our server is, and there's a translation to an IP address, right, to where that machine lives, but now it's the same on the blockchain, right? It points you to where where everything is, right? Because it's kind of decentralized. Yeah,
that's exactly it.
Yeah. So Brad, with a decentralized internet, with a decentralized world, and Web 3.0, like, what do you see as the future? Like, what does the future internet looks like? What does it look like?
Well, I mean, it's a place where individuals are able to move freely from one app to another, where they're able to communicate with whoever they want easily from one app to another. So just the connectivity is completely different, and where everybody is able to monetize all the way through. Like right now, the internet is a place where people monetize you, not where you monetize, really. And one of the big things that's a problem with YouTube that everyone talks about is that the creators are making a very small amount of the profit and are not really able to. They're not really able to make most are not really able to make a livelihood, even though they're generating enough revenue that they could. They're just not keeping most of the revenue, and so it's that you're already generating all of this value all the time. You're just not capturing it. And so in a future internet, you will capture it, and people will be able to make a living digitally. A lot more people will make a living digitally. And I know this is strange, this environment that we're in right now, but I think, where we are with COVID has also kind of sped some of this up, where all of a sudden a whole bunch of the offline world was forced to move online faster than it's ever had to move online before. We've been going for decades, and we've never had, an entire generation that had basically stayed offline, folks over 60 being forced to do all kinds of things overnight. Yeah. So the pool of people that are living a digital life has gone up. That's going to continue, and it's going to be the decentralized web and crypto and these types of things that are going to enable that, because you're going to have so much of the important stuff in our society is going to be digital. Therefore, you're going to need super duper new security to protect all that stuff. In the 1990s, it wasn't a big deal. It was like, protecting cat pictures, you didn't need to spend, billions of dollars and, hundreds of thousands of the smartest minds around the world solving that problem. But like with this, you do. Like now that we're moving, all kinds of value, into essentially just digital tokens, we need to be really careful about that.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. That's it's yeah, like I said before, it's really a paradigm shift. It's a very exciting time to be alive. I mean, well, except for the COVID thing, but otherwise, we're at the cusp of another great change. Like I still remember when I first got onto the internet, and I was delving into. I was trying to figure out, the Linux operating system, and then I was hitting the forums. Back then, it was the IRCs, right? The chat rooms, trying to get the OGs, the experts to help me out. And then, you know, getting some guy, I think he was from America at that time, and you know, remoting, you know, SSH into my my server that's in my bedroom, right? And he's helping me set stuff up. So those were exciting times, and I was like, you know, my mind was blown back then, and so I remember being as excited back then as I am right now of the development that's actually happening within the crypto. You know, it's not mainstream yet. You know, a lot of people don't see it. A lot of people are used to the existing, you know, paradigms, business paradigms, business models, and existing existing business models, existing paradigms that they don't quite, they can't see what's about to come. I mean, I can't quite see what's about to come, but I can. I know the amount of change that's going to come, and you know, the opportunities that it brings with it. It's going to be huge, right? And as you mentioned, we're generating all this value online now, but we're not able to monetize it. And you know, to have that ability for us to monetize it is you know, it's democratizing that, right? The ability for everyone to actually earn some money online while you're generating that content. So it's exciting times. You know, there will be huge disruptions. A lot of people probably won't see it coming, but those who do see it coming, you know, you're early in the game, and you know, go sign up for your .crypto .crypto domain name, right, or .zil, and get onto the decentralized web. You know, even if you don't know what you're doing, there's some templates there, right? Figure it out. You know, that's what I'd encourage. And those who are, you know, most of our investors, most of our viewers are investors. You know, look into existing business models, right, and see where there are opportunities in the decentralized web. I mean, for one, you know, the big players right now, the 4 cloud providers, it might seem like they're unstoppable, pun intended, but really, you know, when you if you think of what IPFS can do and what it does, their powers could be eroded. This could be quite a disruptor for them as well. So yeah, food for thought.
All right, before we go on, yeah, we actually have some questions. So this whole thing is supposed to be like, you know, regulation free, or you know, censorship resistant, right? Will there be any worries about, you know, vices like even pornography, or money laundering, or even the underworld where it gets into the web and that's how they communicate? Will you see that as a problem in the future? Because even in Malaysia right now, we can't go to Pornhub, right? Although it's free. So it's being regulated here. So, but where do you see this space going up? Because people are a bit worried, you know, whether this will create a platform for the vices as well.
Well, so it all depends on where your perspective is, but I think so first of all, even in the regular internet, you have all of these things, and it's not really, it's extremely difficult to stop them entirely. But one of the problems that we're having right now is that each application has their own filtering process. They have their own thing that they're doing, and no one knows who or why. Facebook decides privately, YouTube decides privately. When you have a decentralized web that works everywhere, you can have applications sharing, like, this is a list of things that I don't want to show. This is a list of scammers that are dangerous. And so you can show users warnings, or you can filter those websites out of your app. So what's going to happen is that you'll be able to choose your app, but your app can choose how they want to show you the internet. And you can have dozens or hundreds of different versions. So if you want your version of the internet not to include any vices, well, great. Maybe I love those vices and I want to see them, but maybe you and I have different vices, and there can be dozens of versions of what's okay and what's not okay. And I don't think there's going to be one line. Right now, the way the internet works is one group or one company or whatever decides what's okay and what's not okay, and the rest of us are stuck with it, and it's gone, or the rest of us aren't even aware because it disappeared. And that's not the way that we're going to be able to protect all of us around the world. And that's really what it's about. Like, everyone should be able to use the internet. And it doesn't mean that everyone should be forced to see all, or see or experience all the bad things they do. You can certainly hide them from my menu, can certainly hide them from my version of the internet if I object to them. That's totally my right too.
Yeah, so instead of someone decide what you should look, it is basically yourself determining what you should be getting from the internet, right? This self-imposed censorship.
Sounds like a fear internet.
That's what internet's supposed to be. It's supposed to be really free.
And,
Okay.
and it'll actually be a more secure internet this way too, because otherwise, if you get one person in charge, then that one person is subject to all kinds of manipulation and things, even if they don't want to be. Over time, those types of systems are just much harder to sustain. Software is just much more reliable than humans. So this idea that humans are a good solution to this problem is that's the thing that I think is not accurate.
Yeah. So what about censorship from the countries itself? Because like Malaysia, we have this internet commission, right? We are unable to access certain websites. Will they be able to block the IPFS as well?
So I think that the way that I think that one of the big ways that things are blocked right now are through internet service providers, and internet service providers could potentially figure out how to do that or come up with a system for doing that. This does not solve access to the internet. There are other folks out there trying to solve access to the internet, and I do think that it's an extremely important problem for making the decentralized web, the system that everyone uses. But this is still far better than the way it works currently, where the way it works currently, if I put up a website, somebody can take it offline and it goes away for everybody. But if I put it up on the decentralized web and then somebody gets blocked for some period of time, that's temporary, and that's one person or one group of people. And then that can move, but the website can still be up. So the difference between this system and the old system is, even if you can block one person or one group of people temporarily, it's still there. And open source tools will still have the ability to do it, and command line will still have the ability to do it. It's just a lot harder with open source stuff,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have another question here, which is quite long. It's from Abdullah Izzuddin on the YouTube note that you just mentioned. So you gave an example that YouTube creators are not paid enough as compared to what YouTube makes as in the platform. Should that YouTube creator have a crypto or .crypto domain and publish all their contents there to be eventually paid more? Wouldn't they struggle to get traffic in the coming times? How would creators of a .crypto domain get more traffic to their site without these platforms like YouTube or Facebook, because they have the Facebook ads and so on and so forth, right?
The point wasn't that you won't use apps like YouTube. The point is that the problem is not the YouTube app. The problem is the fact that YouTube also is your storage service that stores your video and can take your video offline if they want to. So if you stored your video, if IPFS stored your video, and then you went and said, hey, YouTube, you can show my video to your community, and then you go to 30 other YouTubes and you say, you can also show my video to your community, and then we can all work out an economic deal. That's what's going to protect me as the creator, is that I don't have to rely on this one who also asks to store my video. That's the part that's unnecessary in the future. And it's the same thing with Facebook. Facebook stores my data. That's the reason why they're so powerful. They store my data, they sell it to companies. If I stored my data, I could use 50 different Facebooks. 50 different Facebooks could compete with each other. The apps would still be there, and we want those apps. Those apps are great. There's nothing wrong with the apps. The problem is the underlying architecture that also gives them the control of the data.
Okay, well, one more last question over here before I pass it back to Andrew. This is from Alex. Is there a risk that some other group starts their own version of IPFS? Will this mean that there could be more than one similar .crypto domain?
So the domain is not on IPFS. The domain is on Ethereum. The websites are on IPFS. The way that it works for blockchain domain systems is that they need to be supported by apps. And so apps need to decide to integrate. So apps have decided to integrate us and our .crypto registry, and this has been, over the course of the past, essentially year. And now most crypto wallets, support our .crypto, and browsers are supporting it. It would be extremely dangerous for them to support any rival. So, applications just wouldn't do that. And there would be no reason for anyone to go and try to do that because it's dangerous for users. So it's almost impossible to go and get support for a rival system unless it was like a fork because, the community thought we had done something unethical. That would seem like a reason why applications might support a new one. But short of that, I think that would be an extremely reckless thing, and it's just not in their interest to do that.
All right, so over to you, Andrew.
Okay, thanks, Benny. So, Brad, just a question. I'm just thinking about the decentralized web. Is there a need for a Google for the decentralized web, like a search engine of some sort?
Most definitely, search is something that we're looking at really closely, and we're working on some solutions.
Nice.
Yeah.
Because I mean, on the current web, there's Google, obviously, and they dominate, right? Obviously, if you go back to the 90s, we had Yahoo, Alta Vista, Ask Jeeves, and all of them. But I guess the next Google of the decentralized web, that's going to be, there's an opportunity right there.
There's an opportunity right there, and we're also hopeful that some of the traditional search engines will also add in decentralized web search results. And so far, a lot of them seem pretty interested. So a lot of the kind of traditional web folks, browser companies and search engines and others have been looking at crypto and decentralized web stuff for a while. It's just that now it's finally maturing. They have real businesses. They can't just play around with crypto stuff like a lot of people in the community can. They need it to actually work for their users. But it's getting to the point where they're interested. So I think you're going to see both. I think you're going to see like blockchain native search engines that just do decentralized websites, and you're going to also see traditional search engines that add these results in. So you'll have new users that'll be able to constantly find them.
Wow, I'm excited.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool. Benny, are we still good on time, or is that it?
Yep. So it's really 1 hour. I know it's really 11 p.m. right there in San Francisco, right?
Yeah.
So we have already finished the questions over here. So if you have, we can end this if you want, or if there's anything that you want to ask Brad further.
Yeah. Look, Brad, we appreciate you so much for coming on the show. Probably past bedtime now. Thanks for answering all the questions. Sharing with us what your thoughts about unstoppable domains and on enlightening us. I definitely learned a few new things here. Also conceptually, that there was some important concepts there that you shared about the users should own who own their data should be paid for it, obviously. Thank you so much for coming on. It was a great chat.
Yeah, thanks so much. This was a lot of fun. I really appreciate all the deep questions. I feel like we covered a lot of ground, and I hope your community will come check out what we're doing.
Definitely, most definitely.
Yeah, I've just checked as well. BennyLee.crypto is available, so I'm going to register right after this. Right?
Better do it quick because this is a live stream, so you better do it quick.
Yeah. Thanks so much for joining us, and guys, those who are viewing us, thank you so much for joining us as well. And we'll see you again on the next Coffee Time tomorrow at 8 p.m. So have a good day. Have a good day, everyone.
Have a good one. Thank you. Thanks, Brad.